We do this every week, and it's worked 25 of 26 times since September of 2021. Put the good vibes out, baby. Like the video. Michigan will dominate Minnesota. It's that simple. And the good thing with YouTube now is they give us a full list of who watches the show, a full list of who likes it. If Michigan loses this damn game and you don't like the video, I'm coming for you. Banned from the channel, guaranteed. Like the video. Put the good vibes out. There's no downside. So just click it because you don't want to be sitting on the couch Saturday night. Michigan loses. You're going to blame yourself, and then your entire weekend is ruined for multiple reasons. Click that like button. Don't jinx it. Michigan then gets a dominant road victory at Minnesota tomorrow night, prime time on NBC, guaranteed. It is the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports. As always, I'm your host, James Yoder. We're going to talk Michigan's national championship push. We're 5 games in the season, guys. Saturday night, season is half over. Can you believe it? The regular season. But then you got 3 more games in the Big Ten Championship, College Football Playoff. Houston or bust. We'll be in Houston. National Championship on January 9th. And then looking ahead to the future of Michigan football. Took a lot of questions from people on what 2024 looks like. Head coach, offense, defense, who's coming back? And you saw that brutal schedule that was released on Thursday. What does next season look like? We'll take a stab at the future of Michigan football here on the show. Let's get it rolling. The Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports starting right now. Hello, everyone. I am your host, James Yoder. As always, we've got many things to talk about. I'm excited for the show. I'm really excited that we're halfway through the season tomorrow. Maybe it's not as exciting, but I just kind of felt, September felt a little slow around this program. No real competitive games. The things are just going to crank up from here in November. We're going to be an absolute fever pitch, and I'm just excited to be here. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. As always, it is at James Yoder. We were one of the first ones to break the news yesterday on the Michigan football schedule. We told you about it on Tuesday as well. I'm always putting news on Twitter first, and we'll jump in here and make a video. I'm taking your questions, though, on today's Michigan Football Report. Coming in from Twitter, speaking of that, at G13 Lewis, George Paul Lewis. He says, does Coach Harbaugh leave after the season is over? And I believe he does, and it'll be the San Diego Chargers. Funny enough, the San Diego Chargers got out of San Diego. They're now in Los Angeles. They are the LA Chargers, but the point remains, LA Chargers, Brandon Staley, their head coach, was doing a really good job for his first year and a half. I'm not sure what's happened since then, but he is second highest odds according to multiple sports books out there for being the for NFL firing. NFL typically rotates through 6 to 10 coaches every single year. So Matt Eberflus, the Bears, he might get fired tonight, right? I mean, today he might get fired after this week 5 in the NFL. Brandon Staley from the Chargers, Josh McDaniels, Raiders fans hate him. Mike Vrabel, I'm not sure about that one. Mike Tomlin, I don't know about that. Ron Rivera, how about Kevin O'Connell, right? He's the one who got the job reportedly over Jim Harbaugh just 2 seasons ago. He's their 9th best odds to get fired. And then Dennis Allen with the Saints. So I'll ask you guys this question before I give you more of my take. Will Jim Harbaugh be Michigan's football coach in 2024, next season? A potential rebuilding season. The hardest schedule I think I've ever seen in the history of college football. Will he be Michigan's head coach? Just go down in the comments. Let me know. Give me a yes or no. Dead simple. Will Harbaugh be Michigan's coach next season? It's a hot topic, right? We saw it on Twitter. There's also a very hot topic when we called out for questions on the YouTube community tab on Tuesday. Martin Martins. I hope that's not his real name. Martin, thank you for watching the show. But, Jack, that'd be like your name being Jack Jacks, right? Nick Nixon, right? Something like that. Why so many people think that Harbaugh is going after the season? I mean, why wouldn't they? Clearly, taking the suspension early this year in 2023, I thought was maybe a glimpse towards, hey, he wants to stay. But he has looked. He said, I'm here for the long term. And then he goes and interviews for NFL jobs after 2021. I'm here for the long term as long as Michigan will have me. But then he goes and does the same thing after 2022 season. He talks to the Broncos. He talks to what other teams here and there? I can't remember, what was it? The Jags, the Panthers. The Panthers, that was the one. Every team that reasonable, and there'll be plenty of them, right, this year. Obviously, the Bears and Raiders. It seems like these are the programs and the franchises just recycle coaches every 2 years. Well, they were in the Harbaugh sweepstakes 2 years ago. They are back, baby. But his future really depends, I think, on whether or not he has a working relationship with Michigan Athletic Director Ward Manuel. And I'll just say this. I think Ward Manuel probably takes more heat from Michigan fans than he deserved, given the level of success, the football program, back-to-back Big Ten championships, the basketball program. They had a number one seed just 2-3 seasons ago, not going well lately. Baseball made it to the College World Series a couple years back. Men's hockey was in the Frozen Four this past year. So they got one of the better athletic programs all in. But it only matters if Jim Harbaugh is the head coach. We saw what Rich Rod, we saw what Brady Hoke did. Harbaugh is not gaining the respect after the last 2 years. He's got Michigan at the pinnacle of college football. The top 10 coaches in salary were released a couple of days ago. And who don't you see there? You don't see Jim Harbaugh. Okay, you see Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, multiple national titles each. Kirby Smart, a couple national titles the last two. Ryan Day, well, he's got 2 in a row. Losses to Michigan. So does the guy below him, Mel Tucker. Lost to Michigan last year and lost his job for jerking it on the phone to Brenda Tracy, whatever you think about that. Brian Kelly, Jimbo Fisher, okay, they took new jobs. That's fine. They get a little bit. Mark Stoops? All right, if he beats Georgia on Saturday, then he deserves it. Josh Heupel, Lane Kiffin. Then you got James Franklin at 11. Jim Harbaugh at 12. Harbaugh was up there in the top 5 before he took the pay cut after 2020. Bet himself, keep his job, got those incentives, got a new deal structure in there. But with how things are going in college football, the transfer portal. Who's been playing the transfer portal better than Michigan? I'm not sure. NIL, it hasn't hurt Michigan yet. I'm not sure if it's really helped him, Landy, but it hasn't hurt him yet. And since those two things went into place July 1st, 2021, can you make an argument that outside Georgia, Michigan has, over the last 3 seasons since NIL came on, the second best program in all of college football? I think based on where they're at right now in the polls, number 2, and what's happened in the past, they certainly can be. Next question here on the show, coming in from Jeremy Beedling. It's at Jeremy Chugs on Twitter. Look at this guy. It says, will J.J. McCarthy be as good as CJ, we don't call him CJ, Coldridge Stroud, when he's a 4th-round pick in the draft? I'm going to address that question, that blasphemous question, here in a second. But I do want to get your take on J.J. McCarthy coming up tomorrow night at Minnesota. I didn't put the number at. I'll tell you why the number's at 218 in a second. 218 and a half yards. Go more or less. J.J. McCarthy passing versus Minnesota, more or less 218 yards. Go down in the comments. Let me know. Just type in more or less, and I'll make a prediction on the actual number if you want. Because I said more, and I did it with Prize Picks. That is today's sponsor, where you can select your favorite athletes in college or the pros and make predictions on the performance for a chance to win big. What sets Prize Picks apart? The simplicity and flexibility of the game. You don't have to worry about crazy complex lineups each week or competing against expert players like with other daily fantasy apps. With Prize Picks, you just pick the athletes and you select whether they have more or less than the projections you see on the Prize Picks apps. These are my picks this week. I stuck to the teams I know. Michigan. I also follow Ohio State. I've seen every Ohio State snap for the last 20 years, etc. I'm going more for all of them. J.J. Morton, 218. Kyle McCord, I bet he'll light it up against Maryland's Swiss cheese defense, over 282.5. And then the Don's making a comeback, baby. 49.5 yards. We're going more for him. Put in $5. I get all 3 of those right, just like I did on Monday Night Football. Showed you guys on Monday. Hope you played it. All right. 5 wins 25. I went 4. What is that? Win 50, Jack. 4 wins 50 on $5. 4 picks. I went up to 6. I could do 25x my money, so my $5 bet could go up to 125. But of course, it's tougher to make 6 predictions. So I'm sticking with 3 for right now. I've also got 4 on NFL games on Sunday. Get a $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS when you make your first deposit. The link is down in the comments and the description of today's video. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Type it into your browser. Use that promo code CLNS when you make your first deposit. Daily fantasy made easy. I've been loving Prize Picks the last 3 or 4 weeks. Let's go back to Jeremy Beedling, Jeremy Chugs. You guys remember Jeremy, right? 2021 season, he was the producer. Then we upgraded with Jack. Jeremy got sent off to Siberia or something like that. He still works for the company, but not nearly as valuable as it used to be. He used to be a big Michigan guy, right? He was on the show. Michigan beat Ohio State. Jack, you know how much money I took to spend on this Vegas trip? We flew to Vegas hours after the trip with no spare expense. People, oh, Chat Sports must have paid for that. No, I paid that in my own fucking pocket here. Go ahead.
I'll never do that to you, James. I'm going to stay loyal to Michigan for the rest of my life. I'll never be a traitor. I'm here till I die.
Well, Jack, we're leveling up now. Michigan, Ohio State, that doesn't get a Vegas trip. Houston, you know what they say, the best, James Harden, where they have the best in Houston. Nick, you know what I'm talking about. What's Houston got for guys like us? We might have ourselves a wild time after that game. So Will he be as good as CJ Stroud? Wasn't it settled on the field, Jeremy? Wasn't it settled on the field? J.J. McCarthy and CJ Coldridge Stroud were on the field together in 2021 and in 2022. Which guy got the W, pal? Okay, you get some cheap yards. You're putting up big stats when it's 95 degrees in Houston. Wait till it gets below 40. Coldridge Stroud never won a game in his entire career. College, the NFL, high school, has never won a game as a starting quarterback when the temperature is below 40 degrees. That's why we named him Coldridge Stroud. It's stuck. And you, Jeremy Chuggs, you are an SOB trader. Just because he's a Houston guy, so now he's going to accept Stroud and his team. I'm not accepting Stroud at all. I think J.J. McCarthy clearly is proven to be a better quarterback. So it's now flash mob time. Let's make sure Jeremy regrets what he did. So it's at Jeremy Chuggs on Twitter. It's down in the comments, down in the description. We did this last year to great success. So go to Jeremy, at Jeremy Chuggs. Just click on the link below there and just reply to one of his tweets or just tweet at him. Trader, and maybe even add hashtag Coldridge or something like that. Just tell him he's a trader. Go ahead and do it. We need like 50 of you guys to do it, and Jeremy will be wildly embarrassed when he comes into the office on Monday. Next question from Andrew Richards from our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/HarbaughGoBlue. Go like it, 70,000 followers strong there. Donovan Edwards has been outspoken about going to the NFL next year. Has his early performance changed that thought? I mean, how could it not? I will say this on the Don. He's having a bad year. My son is in shambles. I've turned him into the Donovan Edwards fan. He's got 2 jerseys. He's been trading. If Edwards gets a touchdown, I get a toy or I get candy or ice cream. It hasn't happened. So, Edwards, Don, you're letting the entire Yoder family down, not just me, but the little ones. Okay, so you got to score a touchdown coming up on Saturday night. With 157 yards rushing, just over 100 yards receiving, his impact has been negligible this year. 31, 32 yards rushing a game, 20 yards receiving. If he didn't play so far this year, I don't think this single score would be different on the scoreboard for any single Michigan game. Hoping that changes coming up on Saturday night against Minnesota. You know, you get a little turf, you get a little game where Michigan should be up by multiple scores. That's when the Don potentially can shine. It is his time to shine. But to directly address the question, at this point, he's not even – he's draftable, but 4th or 5th round, I mean, the production he has – going down at first touch every time he gets the ball, he went from a late first, early second round projection to maybe not draftable in a span of 1 month. So he can still get that back if he wants to, but I'm starting to feel a little bit better about maybe some of the guys that we thought would leave early, maybe coming back next year. Michigan won't be replacing 17 starters, 16, 17, 18 stars. They might only be replacing like 13 or 14 at this point. Might get a couple guys on offense and defense you expected to leave this year, like the Don, like Rod Moore, like Junior Colson, that could end up being part of this 2024 Michigan football team. I have a 3-part question coming in from Justin McAllister. If you guys are McMaster, if you guys want to play along, however you want to in the comments. Start one, bench one, cut one as Michigan players, though, not pro. Henne, McCarthy, Brady. I'm going to start McCarthy, okay? I'm going to bench, which is kind of the second thing, Henne, and cut Tom Brady. No, but I think, Brady, it takes a lot of like Ohio State fans. Oh, Michigan didn't like Tom Brady. That's not true. I was a Tom Brady fan when he was at Michigan. Everyone loved Tom Brady. Now, there was a time for 6-7 games in 1998 where people thought true freshman Drew Henson should start. He didn't. They split snaps first quarter, second quarter, the first 3 or 4 or 5 games of 1999. But Brady was clearly a better quarterback than Drew Henson throughout his college career. The only thing that gives Chad Henne the up on Brady at this point is 4-year starter versus 2-year starter right now. J.J. McCarthy's on pace to lead Michigan to back-to-back, undefeated regular seasons, etc. So clearly he is going to get the start unless something drastic happens. That is where I'm at for the quarterback. Let me know what you guys think. Start, bench, or cut. Cutting Brady on this one. All right, Mike Hart, Tyron Wheatley, Blake Corum. This is a really tough one. I think at this point I'm starting Corum. Okay. Not as long of a career as either of those other 2 guys, but I think more of an impactful career, a bigger winner than both those guys. And even though he's the leading rusher in school history, Mike Hart, I'm going to cut Hart, and I'm going to bench Wheatley. Have my number 2 is there. So start Corum, bench Wheatley, cut Michigan's current running back coach, Mike Hart. How about this one? And the guy, Justin, he had a few other ones on here, and I probably would have replaced Manningham with Desmond Howard, but I wanted to be true to his question. He listed Manningham Desmond Howard as like a slot receiver. Maybe it is. But if you go on a wide receiver 1, outside wide receiver, Braylon Edwards, Anthony Carter, Mario Manningham, it's start Braylon, bench Carter, cut Mario Manningham. I think it's pretty simple. I don't think really any Michigan fan who's followed the program for more than a drink of water could argue with that one. I think it would be really interesting if it was Carter, Braylon, Desmond Howard, but I wasn't asked that question, so I will not give that answer. I mean, although I'm showing my age here, talking about Chad Henne, talking about Tom Brady, talking about Braylon Edwards. I wasn't alive for Anthony Carter, but nevertheless, who was the Michigan's best player the year you became a fan? I think for me it was actually Desmond Howard, right? So let me know, who was Michigan's best player the season you became a fan, or the first season that you can remember being a fan. If you started becoming one as a little kid, might be a little murky there. So the first season you can remember, who was Michigan's best player? Comment down below. All right, Minion at College Sports TB says, due to various factors, I see Michigan's defense returning 8 starters on defense in 2024. How many guys come back on offense? So I'll address that in a second. Do want to remind you guys, though, that we are approaching 28,000 subscribers, 27,912, so we need 88 more Michigan football fans to subscribe. Just do it right now. Quit thinking about it. Hit the subscribe button. If you don't like what you see, come back Monday, Tuesday next week, unsubscribe. But let's get to that 28,000 milestone, and then we can stop asking for it, and then we have to worry about it until we get closer to 29,000. So hit the damn subscribe button, or grab the link, youtube.com/MichiganTV. When you're texting your buddies on Saturday during game, be like, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out James's postgame show. Do me a favor there. Subscribe, natty or bust. Hit 28,000 by game time, national championship. All right, so here are the returning starters on defense next year that I see as of now. And I think this is a bigger list, for me at least, than it was just a month ago. Braden McGregor, I didn't think he would be the starter, okay? I thought he would lose the starting job. He's held on to it. Jalen Harrell, well, he can come back for another year next year. He's got the COVID year and a redshirt year, so he actually could come back for 2 more seasons if he wanted. So you got 2 stars on the defensive line there. Mason Graham, only a true sophomore, has been injured, so you got 3 stars on the defensive line. Okay, Chris Jenkins leave, goes there. Junior Colson, is he leaving early after his 3rd year, 3-year starter? But I don't see any first-round projections for him anymore, so why would he leave and go be a 3rd-round pick? He's got another season next year, so Junior Colson can come back. Clearly, Mike Barrett, 6-year starter linebacker, he's gone. Will Johnson's back. Josh Wallace, the transfer from UMass, has another season. Rod Moore has only played in a game and a half so far, so unless he comes back and just absolutely explodes, he's not going to leave early after his 3rd year. Started just like Colson as a true freshman in 2021. And then Makari Page, not that he's maybe couldn't consider it. He's been playing everything like that. I just don't think he's going to get high enough draft grades. So what do you got there, Jack? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 starting stars. So Minion, not too crazy to think about. Plus you got Derek Moore behind him. Plus you got Josiah Stewart behind him. You've got Ernest Hausman, who's basically kind of been a quasi-starter, although not totally. Rayshawn, Trap Money Benny. You've got Kenneth Grant. I mean, you're going to have 12, 13, 14 guys who have starters experience or played 25-plus snaps a game, at least so far this year. So the Michigan defense not looking as bad as I originally anticipated, going into the season where you thought you could lose 8 or 9 starters out of the true 11. You might actually have 8 or 9 stars back from this team. How about the offense? I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, Colson Loveland, and now that Tyler Morris has secured himself as a starter, all 5 offensive linemen are seniors, 5th-year or 6th-year guy. Now, a couple of them have the ability to come back. Trevor Keegan, Zach Sinter could come back for another year if he wanted. But I think both those guys were looking at the pros last year. So I think with the performance they've had so far, they're gone. You might get, Miles Hinton if he's even a starter anymore, which I don't think he is. Carson Barnhart could come back for another season, the COVID year, etc. But you could lose all 5 of those guys if they're projected to be drafted. So you could lose there. J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, clearly Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson. So 1 starter, Colson Loveland, and then kind of a 2-starter, 1B, Tyler Morris, if you consider him a starter, after he's really only started 1 game out of the 5 so far this year. No matter what it is, unless J.J. McCarthy comes back and the Don decides to come back, and 2 or 3 of those offensive linemen, unless like a bunch of guys decide to come back that we're not expecting at this point, next year is a reloading year for this team. I think you got to set your expectations as this could be, with the schedule, this could be an 8-4 team, even if everything comes together. Now, if J.J. comes back, Donovan Edwards comes back, you could be looking at another run at a national championship. It really all depends on who is behind center for Michigan. Got to look at the transfer portal because I don't think next year's quarterback is currently on this roster. Next question is, do you think Michigan and Notre Dame rivalry is underrated? Yeah, I do. I mean, the more I think about it, I was looking at the future schedules. They don't come back until the fall of 33, fall of 34. My son, Preston, currently ranked the #1 first grader in the 24/7 Sports Composite quarterback. He's probably going to take his recruiting visit those falls of 33 as a junior in high school, 34. So we'll go for him. So if it's 10 years away till Michigan and Notre Dame play again, even if those games are still played. Who knows what the landscape of college football looks like in the future. I do miss the matchups. I mean, all those games, 2009, 10, 11, 12, 2013, and then the blowout. Good game in 2018. Notre Dame won, Michigan lost. 2019, the monsoon at the Big House. Michigan ran all over Notre Dame. They were just great games going all the way back as far as I can remember. So I do miss the rivalry. But with Texas next year, Oklahoma, another Texas game, and then the new Big Ten landscape, I think these games with Michigan Notre Dame might become a thing of the past. If you made it all the way to the end of this long Michigan football mailbag here on a Friday, type MFR if you are a loyal watcher of the Michigan Football Report. You're an MFR. Type it down in the comments. Let me know. I will have a game day show for you tomorrow morning, so make sure you join us. Get ready for the Michigan-Minnesota game tomorrow night. Till then, go Blue.